Yeah.
Okay. Good morning and good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are. So I will, if anyone is there, just say hi. So, so today, as you see, the topic goes, we're going to be discussing about cost of living, regards to you know life, what we spend for our daily living, and what we think like we need to discuss with our viewers, especially those who are interested to come to Canada. So, welcome to Canada. As you know, Canada is a great country, and being a great country, Canada still have its ups and downs. So today we're going to focus on the downside of Canada regards to economic. So we're going to use our experience as a family, as a Canadian, to able to to give you an insight about what is it for uh, a monthly salary, what you can get for a monthly salary, and
And what everyone expects you to as well pay.
correct. And when you're planning to come to Canada, what it is, what also you should be aware of, and also that what will make you more prepared to do your calculations to avoid making mistakes that we did when we immigrated to Canada. So when it comes to like basics, let's start with basics. Okay, food. Everybody needs food, right? Basics. We need food to live. So okay, Angelica, can you please introduce yourself? It's-
So I'm Angelica, and we have been living here in Canada for roughly 5 years. So I can tell you roughly how the development has been with the prices for rent and groceries, especially groceries I took care of. So I will guide you through that journey through the groceries. So when we just checked tomatoes, tomatoes 5 to 3 years ago were one 1.5 Canadian dollars per LB. When I go to the grocery now, I need to calculate at least with $3 for per LB for tomatoes. Yeah, so that's just one of those things. So when we check on it, the prices, especially with certain items, have actually doubled from 3 to 6 years ago, which is kind of shocking because when you check on the wages, they have not doubled.
Thank you. So speaking of wages, so what will you tell the viewers about what a minimum wages look like? Says a 40 hours job.
So when you're looking for a 40 hours job and you come here to Canada, please be aware if you do not have any job offer at at the point that you come in, and it's already a better paid job. That means it's not a minimum wage job. You will need to go into a minimum wage job just in order to make your living. And when you look at a minimum wage job, 40 hours, you look at the roughly 1,600 Canadian dollars to 1,800 Canadian dollars. So if you don't have kids, that's great. Then like working more than 40 hours is 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 okay. But yeah, with kids, all of that working more than 40 hours got kind of restricted because you need time for the kids as well. Even when you're two, you still need time. One or the other needs time for the specific time that there is no daycare, for example. So with one minimum wage job, you need to calculate 1,600 to 1,800. With two minimum wage jobs for two partners, for example, we are slightly below $4,000. And if you guys decide to work more than one job, you will earn more, but you need to be careful because they will deduct the taxes as well.
Good. So speaking about minimum wage, there's also you need to also understand that the more money you get in Canada, the more taxes will be deducted. So more or less, it's like uh, you you take for example, you have minimum wages of, let's say, is $15 an hour, and probably at the end of the month you have like 1,800. So just be aware that the taxes that will be deducted from that salary will be more than when it comes to what you're going to get back. So that means that the more that you work, the more you pay, more taxes you pay. So you have to put that into consideration. So having said that, uh, let's
Let me try to explain it slightly
okay.
different. So when I started working and I had two jobs here, they told me I need to tell my one of my employers that it's a second job. So there is a certain category where they can put, okay, to deduct more taxes because it's a second job, or it's a first job. So it's just a regular tax that's supposed to be detected,
Deducted.
deducted. Sorry. Um, so when you have two jobs and you don't tell the second job that you have another job, so they deduct more taxes, they will ask you in the end to pay more taxes when you have two jobs and you didn't tell them. So me personally, because I'm always a little bit skeptical how people will react when I tell them I have two jobs. I never told anyone that I had another job. I just like had it on the side. It was my private thing that I did. But in the end, when it came to February, March, I needed to repay.
Okay. And the other thing I would say is one of the most important, I would say, is a discussion right now in Canada. Probably most of you are familiar with is housing. So housing, you had me right. That is housing is the big problem right now in Canada, and as a result of that, we have many homeless. Okay, and due to the fact that the housing market is so regulated at the point that it's difficult. They are not be, they are difficult to find a resolution regards to the housing crisis.
I'm not sure whether
Ye-
I would say the housing market is regulated. I would say it's so unregulated
Okay,
that they don't know how to take the break on the increasing housing prices. So just continue.
so what I'm trying to in regards to what you say is if unregulated, so that means that the landlord can charge the way they want. They can charge more. They can charge the way they want. Take for example, the house we are living right now. Just imagine two bedrooms, and we have one
And a basement.
and a basement. So we are paying 4,000. Okay, $4,000. Okay, so let's assume our salary ending of the month. Me and my wife has a minimum wage job, which probably if we say is 3 to 4 thousand in total. And after paying the rent, we have nothing left. So
We actually wouldn't be able to afford the rent
correct.
because when he's getting 1,800 and I get 1,800, then we earn together 3,600. So our rent is roughly 4,000. So our income is combined income is going to be below what our house costs here. So it's kind of difficult, and we have been living in a bachelor apartment for roughly 5 years. That was 1,500, 600 around. Yeah, it was even difficult for one person, and you should be able to afford a bachelor apartment for one person to meet up with paying the rent.
So that means that a single person, like a single like somebody a bachelor with a minimum wage, it is difficult to survive in Canada. Majority of people have two jobs. So when I came to Canada initially, I was like, okay, fine, I have a job. But I realized that the housing cost, the grocery cost. So I needed to have second jobs, and my wife too. And that also cost us because the more jobs that you have, the more taxes are because they put both together. So you better put that into consideration that make sure you do your evaluation when you come to Canada, when you come to immigrating in Canada, because housing market, if you find a way to get through a housing market, then all the other things will follow. But housing market in Canada is very sensitive discussion. So
I think I forgot to say that the bachelor apartment that we have been living in for 5 years, 5,600, let's say, um, will now be rented out for roughly 2,300 because the housing market went up so high. And then again, if you have one minimum wage job, how would you be able to afford an apartment or like a bachelor apartment, which is 1,000, 2,300? I mean, like that's not really realistic. Just in order to survive on your own, in order to have like shelter or like a roof over your head, you will need to have two jobs minimum in order to kind of make ends meet.
okay. So I hope you'll be able to get an insight about when it comes to housing. So more or less like if you say you have like you make a lot of money in Canada, fine. But one thing you need to know, remember that those money will just I use the word disappear after paying your rent. So rent in Canada is high. Now after that housing, after said and done. So let's speak about what about phone bills, telephone. Everybody needs telephone.
Yeah, so for telephone bills, everyone, when you come newly to Canada, is advising that you get a contract from a company. We did that too. Unfortunately, we were not really successful with it, because, like, as a newcomer, you have a lot of things to pay. As a newcomer, you have some expectations to yourself that you need or whatever. Maybe there is school or whatever. So sometimes it's not as easy to catch up with all the payments that you need to make. Um, my personal advice is when you come newly to Canada and you start off, forget about your credit score. Everyone is gonna tell you, "Ooh, take a contract phone with credits for your credit score in order to improve it." Forget about that. First, settle down. First, see that you're okay, and then think about your credit score. Don't try to rush things. So for when you start up in the beginning, try to use how do you call it? Prepaid
Prepay, yeah.
phones. Yeah, so we still use prepaid phones and we do not see any disadvantage in it. The only thing that people say is an advantage that they pay their phone with the contract. And then again, like me personally, I have a $25 like
Prepaid. Correct.
monthly
Prepaid.
prepaid contract. Mike has a $35 monthly prepaid contract. So for two people, we pay roughly $60. Um, but when you take the contract and the phone, it usually varies between $100 and $200 for you to pay per month for a phone. So yeah, like my phone recently got broken, so I paid $160 one-time payment, but not every month. So it's kind of easier to say, okay, like it's a one-time payment. When I like divide it into the duration of the life of my phone, or let's say instead like a contract that runs 2, 3 years, I'm still going cheaper than what I would do if I would get a brand new, super expensive phone from a phone company.
Okay, so that means that when you decided to have before you get a phone contract, it's advisable that you like, as you say, you start out with a prepaid so that you get an idea where is I mean where to get a good deal. It's also important to have a good deal.
And try to
The-
settle yourself first.
Correct. So you don't want to get into a rush contract. You rush into a contract and you find out that oh my god, you cannot afford it. So because as my wife said before about credit history or credit score, credit score is very important in Canada. Okay, that is very important. But you should also first of all settle them first. Make sure that the housing issue is settled. So when the housing issue is settled, and then you can start talking about credit scores and other things because credit score with that credit score you can't get anything in Canada. You can rent property. Okay, you can have a car like car insurance or wherever. So credit score is very important. So having said that, now let's talk about grocery. People need food in their house. So what has changed since before and after COVID?
So I remember before COVID, which is roughly 5 to 3 years ago, our monthly grocery bills were around between 80 to $120. Now our grocery bills, I'd really try to keep our belt tight. That means I try not to buy too much that is luxury goods, really just things that we need. I try to make it 200, so I try to be in between 100 and 200 to just get the most necessary stuff. So last time we went shopping, we didn't get toilet paper, we didn't get oil, we didn't get vinegar, we didn't get milk, we didn't get yogurt, and we were roughly at 80 something dollars, $90. So when I would get all those things as well, I have not bought noodles for quite a while because I got a sludge in the basement. That would add up as well. So like we would come close to like $200.
Okay, so in a family of five, you should be have an estimate of three. That means a $200 to $300 for a week. Okay,
Yes, we're
so
talking of a weekly base here. We're not talking of a monthly base. We're talking here of a weekly base because most of the grocery, like all the produced goods like veggies and fruits, they're getting spoiled. So you can't buy fruit and veggies for an entire month. Even in the fridge, they get spoiled. So we usually go shopping once in a week, which is most of the times on the weekends. And most of the times on the weekends, they have stocked the grocery store good. Last time we went during the week, it was slightly empty. Yeah, but everyone knows like on weekends, it's like the most possibility that people go shopping. So they try to stock the supermarket on the weekends. And yeah, we also made a video. We just need to upload it, cut it, and upload it about the groceries that we found and about the prices. So we will keep you guys posted on that as well.
yeah, so if you make your calculation, let me know what is the cost of when it comes to grocery cost in your country. So probably it's different. Like our discussion right now is regards to Ontario, Toronto. So other provinces has their own different cost related. But one thing should bear in mind that things has changed. Price has not as usual before and after COVID. So having said that, so like from our estimation, what you need in a month for grocery for family of five, you should be looking at a good. I would say it's like like $1,000 would be like if you want to really get good things for your kids for yourself 1,000 you should be looking between 700 to $1,000 in a month. So put that into calculation. If you need to pay a property of a renting property of 3,000 in a month, and you need to pay for grocery, which is another thousand, that is not all. When it comes to renting property, if you're renting from a private renter, like you're renting from like a
Mhm.
house, like a rented a house, like what we have right now. So you need to calculate that you need to pay your water bill, your electricity bill. That is an extra cost.
Your
So
gas,
your gas bill,
your garbage,
your garbage bill.
you pay everything extra.
So when you look at the ending of the month, you end up like roughly 5,000 just to be able to live in that house. But when it comes to condos, it's different. Condos is like some condos, their water bill is already included.
It
Okay,
totally depends on the landlord what he includes
correct.
in it.
It totally depends on the landlord. So you better watch out for that. Before you sign lease or contract, you have to check what is included. Good. So having said that,
One more thing, like we have been, because we are a family of 5 people, so we really need to look for something that fits our family size as well, which is a two-bedroom apartment, or as we have right now, a house with 2 bedrooms. And when we checked on the apartments for 2 bedrooms recently, it was for a price of 3,200 at least, or above. And we are not talking of downtown right now. I think last year, September, this time around, you found apartments or condos with like small rooms that you couldn't even turn around. In downtown for 3,200. And now here in Uptown, where we're living, it's also like 2,300 for a two-bedroom apartment.
okay, so transportation. So that is another discussion because if you know that when I started like when I was like when I was schooling, like then I usually have like I went to George Brown College. So usually you have as a student you have the kind of a discount. So then it's like you pay half price. Okay. So what happened is that before that was before COVID. So after after COVID, things changes. So roughly like you're looking like between $200 to $300, like both of us in a month,
I think
roughly.
more. I mean, before COVID hit, you paid already
So
$150 just for a year,
correct.
so a year ticket, kind of, without discount, just as like a normal person, roughly 1,500. I didn't have ticket that time because everything was in walking distance downtown. But yeah, if you like multiply that times two plus the increase of it, you will go roughly up to 4,000 for 2 people. Like in between 150 and 200 is the yearly ticket. I'll check on it and
Okay,
check the
let's so
information.
just like you're looking at 400 for two people, so you're looking like 400 in a month. So 200 for a year, for a month yearly ticket. So usually we call it TTC over here in Canada. So if I'm paying 200 for a monthly ticket to take the transit, my wife is also paying 200 dollars. So it's a Canadian dollars, so $200 still for a monthly ticket. So that's roughly 400 in a month. So now there's a few that want to have like you have a car. So when you have a car, you have a responsibility that you need to calculate that you need a insurance, car insurance. So car insurance, and you also need to calculate that you need to
How much
have
is the car insurance?
car insurance is about $400 in a month. $400 in a month with the car insurance. That is the lowest deal. So I really we got a deal for that. So it can go up to $500. Okay, depends. So so when you also need to calculate that, you need to calculate that you need to pay for diesel. Okay,
For fuel.
for fuel. So you need to pay for it. Okay, you need to pay for maintenance. So if you see, like roughly in a month, you're seeing yourself like paying between $800.
For the fuel part, since I'm the one driving the car more and refueling the car more, when we started driving the car in roughly January, I would say December, January around, the prices were like $14 per liter, and now we're up to $17. So when you calculate in roughly 9 months, they went up at least $3.
Okay, what you need to understand is that everything has increased. Okay, put it that way. Like, okay, so if you have a car, just be aware that there is a lot of costs related, and you cannot live in Canada in the suburbs without having a car.
Yeah.
You need a car when you come to Canada. Okay? If you're living in the suburbs, you need a car. Canada is a very big country, very large country. So if you want to go around Canada, you need a car. And having said that, you need to calculate that there are costs that follows. And this cost, as I said earlier on, you should calculate between $7,000 to $8,000 just to have your car with you. Okay, so that is something else you need to put into perspective. Or you want to go with the transit, then you live in downtown. Downtown has a very good
at least
transit.
closer to downtown.
Correct, closer to downtown. They have a very good transit. So, but mind you, you also need to calculate that you need to pay, as we said before, like two of us pays 400 together in a month. So if you are like a single person with one job and you have to deduct these things, housing costs, transport costs, food, groceries costs. So the question is, what is left? Okay. So having said that, so the next question is, which is more related to us and also to people who have children too. If you have a job in Canada, you need childcare. You need childcare. See, there's no other way you can go about it. And childcare is also very, very expensive in Canada. And that is when you are not subsidized. Canada has a program for lower income families. When you are in the lower income range, your children will be subsidized. Subsidized means in the normal cost for a child, I think it's 3,000 a month.
It depends on the age of
The child. Yeah. Correct.
So infant room is around 2,300 without subsidization. The toddler room is roughly around 1,900 and 1,800 around. The preschooler room is between 1,300, and then we have the kids that go to school. They are around 800, $700, $800. So we have right now one infant 1,700. We have one preschooler which is 1,300. So in total around 3,600. And then we have a school child as well, which is around $700. So we are looking at 4,300 around just to send our kids to school in order to provide money for a living. If you're not subsidized, that is a lot of money. So it depends on how much you earn, how much the state pays for your childcare spot.
Okay, so as she said earlier, it's very, very expensive. So you need to be subsidized. There is no way out.
If you come newly to
Yeah, if you newly come to Canada, you need to be subsidized. You cannot afford daycare. It's really expensive. So that's my advice to people that
I also want to say something else about daycare. So we have been living downtown and uptown, and we saw how many daycares are offering spots and in which frequency they offer spots. And I need to say downtown is more like a crowded place, more people living there. So there are more spots, more daycare centers that take kids. So there is more offer of daycare spots than what I find here in the suburbs. So just for you to have an idea, There are daycares around here, but they are not subsidized. So when you're subsidized, then you need to look for a daycare that is subsidized versus a daycare that's not subsidized. So we were looking for one daycare that can take all three kids, and we were waiting roughly a year to get all three kids in that one daycare. And if you think it's just around the corner, you are mistaken. It's roughly 5 to 10 minutes with a car, which is if you walk with the kids because there is bad weather or you don't want to use your car or whatever, just to save money with the fuel. It would take with the kids roughly, I guess, 3/4 of an hour to an hour. When I myself walk, it's gonna be 20 minutes, but you need to calculate extra time on top. And if I want to take the TTC, the public transport, it's also gonna be roughly half an hour of my morning time, which is already very tight and dense. What I forgot about the childcare. There is right now in Toronto a program running that if you they try to reduce the childcare for each child like $300 till 2025, which is very close by, and they constantly try to reduce the childcare fees, like 50%, 75%, 50%, and 25%. So in order for people to be able to afford daycare more, they kind of try to reduce the daycare to $300 per child. On the other hand, when you have three kids, a daycare for three kids for $300 per child is going to be $900. It's also kind of expensive on that end.
Good. So I would say that let's talk about entertainment. Sometimes like you want to go out with your family. You want to go to a museum. You want to go to zoo. You want to like go out. So that's another cost. Okay, nothing is free in Canada. So we estimated that in a month $400. To go out when it comes to entertainment, and it is another thing also like if you're living alone and you want to eat out, people do that. Then I will not advise that. It's better to cook at home. It's cheaper. So if you eat out, this estimation that we are giving to you will not add up. It will not add up because the food also they're not cheap. So it's better when you cook at home. It tastes better and it's cheaper
And healthier.
and healthier too. So that is when it comes to entertainment. So lastly, we're going to talk about clothes. Everybody needs clothes. So I would say that everything depends. There are different. I would say they call it second-hand clothes. They have H&M. So it depends what you want. It's difficult for us to give a rough estimation. Like for example, what we do is for our kids, we usually get clothes from the daycare. For families who feel like okay, they have to give this, their kids doesn't need it no more. They can give it to other family. For example, that is a way to like
Make ends meet in this area.
to save. You can save through that. Somebody give you an assistant, you go for it. But when you say you want, if you think like you should be taking about $500 in a month for clothing. That means clothes and like doing shopping. Like I don't buy expensive stuff because I know what it means to go buy expensive stuff, given to my cost of living. So I have to go according to my, I would say, to my level, which I'll put it like that. So watch out about look. There are also another thing we want to let you know that there is also a way you can live cheap in Canada. We will discuss that in another video. So this is what we are just saying. This has to do with Ontario, and that has to do with Toronto. So, and then the next topic, we're going to let you know where you can get cheap, cheap, I would say, as a grocery, how you can go for get cheap grocery, how you can get. I always say is when it comes to housing, they also have government housing, affordable housing too, but also depends on your preference if you need the affordable housing or not. So it depends. So some of the affordable housing, I would like you to see for yourself. So you said, okay, I don't want to leave you, or I have no choice. So it depends what you decide then. So
And another thing about the government houses, which is also called subsidized housing, is there is at the moment a wait list of 10 years. So if you come new to Canada, you need to consider that you're gonna be on a wait list for 10 years. If you don't have a house, there are possibilities of shelters, and yeah. But the question is, do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Do you want to go that route of going into a shelter where I'm not sure about the safety because I have not been there before? Or do you want to say, okay, I'm just trying to make ends meet by living somewhere in the suburbs and commute to downtown if you have a job in downtown? Or how do you want to, what is your own situation in this part?
yeah, so please come to Canada. Please come to Canada. We love immigrants. We love people coming to Canada. But one thing we just want to make it clear that do your calculation, okay? Do your calculation.
Do your research.
Yeah, do your research because for what we have told you so far is like try to evaluate before you make that decision. And also is Canada has, as you know, has its positive side. As that was another video, we'll talk about the positive side. But today we're just talking about for every green grasses, there's also a kind of a hard road that also goes with it. So we're talking about the hard road right now. So having said that, the last thing we're going to talk about today is about healthcare. Now you help me. So around the world, they know Canada as what? Free healthcare. They talk about our healthcare a lot. That is true. But is it all free? No, it's not all free. Canada taxpayer pays for the healthcare. We do pay, yes, we do. So it's not that free. Okay? So, but what is free? That you need to wait for a year to get treatment.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you need to wait for a year to get treatment. So you have to understand that it's just better to go to a hospital and say, hey, here am I, and I have this. This is how much should I pay? Okay, here is the money, and you get treated. Or you need to go to queue and say, it's okay, good. Mr. A, you're going to get your surgery in 6 months' time. And Mr. A has a very
emergencies.
A very emergency case. So healthcare in Canada is not that free. Okay? So if we don't pay for it, we don't get healthcare. So we pay for it. We all Canadians pay for our healthcare. Okay? But our healthcare, when it could take a while to get an appointment. So be very, very careful when it comes to Canada. You say, okay, here am I now? I'm allowed to use the healthcare, and I want to go for. I have a surgery to do. They will tell you, okay, nice, but you need to be in the queue. Okay, so don't be shocked with that.
And another thing, I mean, like Mike and me came from Europe, so it was a little bit different with the healthcare there. Our healthcare system in Europe was built on a separate healthcare deduction from your salary. And what I noticed here is there is no coverage for vision, there is no coverage for teeth. We were used to that. So, like, if you have had any issues with the teeth or with your eye vision or whatever, it was covered. If you needed to go to a physiotherapist, like certain things were covered by the healthcare. Here, fewer things are covered for physiotherapists or occupational therapists. There is no coverage for your teeth. There is no coverage for your vision. Only if you get extra insurance. And another thing that you need to be aware here in especially Toronto, because I don't know any other where, it's very difficult to get a family physician. So in case that you get a family physician, you're lucky and try to keep him or her. But sometimes people are not having a family physician for years because there is no availability for a family physician. All of the spots that family physicians have are actually occupied. The good thing about it is that there are a lot of walk-in clinics. So in case there is something going on, you actually can go to a walk-in clinic without being a patient of a family physician, and they will still take you and help you and check on you and prescribe you whatever is needed. But yeah, so generally it is kind of a tough situation with the healthcare.
Good. So the last note I would say is when you're coming to Canada, get your warm jacket. It's cold. We're getting to winter period right now. Canada is a cold country. Okay. So get your winter jacket, your winter boots, get ready. Okay. We also have a very hot summer. When it's summer, it can get hot too, but not I think it's up to 3 months or something like that. You
Yeah.
really got like a really hot summer. So when you're coming to Canada, get your boots, your winter boots, get your jacket, be ready. Okay. And that is all for today. If any of you have any tips, advice, any topic that you find interesting that we should talk about, please let us know. I also use. We want to let you know that we're having a membership. I would say it's membership program. So if you want to if you have an idea of what do you expect for a membership, let us know. So we will be setting up our membership very soon. So we advise you guys to check it out. And also let us know that any advice, any tips that you want when it comes to coming to Canada, any help that you want coming to Canada, we are ready to help you. We want you to be successful. We want you to come to Canada, but we want you to do it well so that you don't make the mistakes that we make. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And for me, I would say is bye and see you soon. Subscribe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day wherever you are.
And see you in the next video and have a great one.
Thanks. Take care.
Take care and bye bye from us right now.